Let's throw some jabs.
The fight starts now!
Well, Sergio, it is officially official. Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte will meet in London on August 12th at O2 Arena in a fight that will air live on DAZN pay-per-view. This will be a rematch of a 2015 showdown between two then top prospects that Joshua won by 7th round knockout. A lot has changed since then, with both of them falling on some hard times lately. Sergio, is this win or go home for both AJ and Dillian Whyte?
It's win or go home for both of them in different sense of the word. It's win or no more A-side money, A-side attraction, big arena filling up. You're not going to be that guy anymore if you're Anthony Joshua, because you've already been stopped. You've already been to the top and came up short. Back-to-back losses to Usyk. So it's win or no more A-side for Joshua, but it's win and retirement home for Dillian Whyte, because he's been stopped 3 times. He's fun to watch. He's going to be that guy that could still compete with the up-and-comers, but on the A side, on the championship level, where you're the top dog and you're demanding that big money like Dillian Whyte wants and demands, he's not going to be that guy either. So yeah, this is definitely win or go home for both these guys. Very important. And when they fought in 2015, that was an entertaining fight. Both of them had their moments. Dillian Whyte somewhat has not Joshua's number, but he has the right counter punches to stop and knock out Joshua, believe it or not, especially with the experience that he has now, getting hurt and coming back from that. He's grown resilience. He's evolved more. I think he's a tougher fighter between the two as well. So if we see Joshua get a little shaky, I won't be surprised Dillian Whyte does something special. But yes, entertaining fight, win or go home.
Yeah, so let's look at this from both fighters' perspective. It's pretty clear to me that Dillian Whyte has to win to keep his career going. He's been knocked out in 2 of his last 4 fights. He got to the championship level. He was stopped by Tyson Fury. He then fought Jermaine Franklin and was life and death with Jermaine Franklin. And I don't mean to dismiss Jermaine Franklin as a fighter, but if you are a championship level guy, you probably shouldn't be life and death with Jermaine Franklin. If he winds up getting stopped by AJ, that will be 3 of the last, 5 fights that he would have gotten knocked out in. He's in his mid-30s. I think he'd be done. Does Dillian Whyte really want to be like a gatekeeper for Jared Anderson or Jalaloff, the super heavyweight gold medalist? Like, do you really want those types of fights for, quarters on the dollar? I can't see it. So I think for Dillian Whyte, it absolutely is win or it's retirement. I think it might be win or retirement for AJ too. I mean, look, AJ's had to rebuild a couple of times during his career. He had to rebuild relatively quickly in the aftermath of the loss to Andy Ruiz. He's had to rebuild and is still rebuilding after the back-to-back losses to Alexander Usyk. If he loses to Dillian Whyte, and if that fight goes against AJ, it's probably because he gets knocked out. If he gets knocked out by Dillian, where does he go from there? Like, what does he do? Like, the fight against Deontay Wilder would obviously be off the table. Do you really pick yourself up and, take 2 or 3 more low-level fights and start this process all over again? Sergio, you see the same things I do with Anthony Joshua. He is a elite guy, but I don't know if he has the love for boxing that some other people do. I think he does this because he's great at it and because he's always been really good at it. I don't know if I see him wanting to, start from scratch fighting, Jermaine Franklin types 2 or 3 times before getting to what? Like eventually getting to a Tyson Fury fight, eventually getting to a Deontay Wilder fight a year or 2 down the line. Just feels like a long process that maybe AJ wouldn't want to be a part of. He's made a boatload of money in his career, more than $100 million most likely in his career. Like, why would he want to do that? So I do think this is, the equivalent of a retirement fight for both guys. The winner goes on to big things, probably a matchup against Deontay Wilder in Saudi Arabia. The loser, I don't know if they have a career after this fight.
Attrition catches up to all fighters once they hit that stage in their life, in their scary mid-30s, Mannix. where, you know, you've tasted defeat, you've tasted the criticism, you've already been the highs of the high. I mean, you said it, Joshua's made tens of millions of dollars, a 2-time heavyweight champion of the world.
I mean, God knows Sergio what he made on that second fight with Usyk over in Saudi Arabia. He's fought 2 fights over in Saudi Arabia. We know those numbers are astronomical. So when I say he's made more than 100 million in his career, I'm probably being pretty conservative with that number.
Yeah, you are. And knowing you are, you know, very conservative with your money. But that's the way it is. Hunger, man. It comes down to hunger. When you make that kind of life-changing money and you come from poverty, you come from the streets, like every fighter, like 99% of fighters, that's what makes them fighters. When you make that kind of money, the hunger takes a back seat. And that's when boxing could get scary, because if you're doing it for the money, like Joshua has gone on record to say that he's doing it for the money now. That's a scary, scary position to be if you're fighting the absolute best in the world, because there's some guys that are doing it for the love of the sport, for the hunger, for the passion. They want to hurt you. They're not worried about cashing a check. That's just the cherry on top of the sundae. So that's when boxing can actually hurt you and it turns against you. So Joshua better be careful at this point of his career, because he still has his faculties. He's still a handsome guy. He has a post-career in commentating, modeling, who knows what, you know, politics. Joshua's a very intelligent man and fighter, so he has to be very careful to really make the right decisions and not take an opponent lightly, because fighters that take opponents lightly like that, thinking, oh, this is going to be a tune-up, that's where a nightmare could happen.
Yeah, and I think this is the perfect fight for Anthony Joshua in the second fight of his, 3-fight comeback that Eddie Hearn has been talking about. I mean, Dillian Whyte is still dangerous. That left hand is still powerful, but he has looked awfully chinny over the last couple of years. I mean, that uppercut, which put him down against Alexander Povetkin and out, which put him down against Tyson Fury. He's still open to that kind of shot. And Jermaine Franklin had him shook a couple of times during that fight. I mean, Anthony Joshua, if he's somewhere close to the Anthony Joshua we're used to seeing, should be able to stop Dillian Whyte. And that would be a good feather in his cap, and that would be a good momentum builder going into that reported showdown against Deontay Wilder later in the year. So it's the right fight for Anthony Joshua to take, but if he can't win it, I just don't know where he goes from there. I just can't see him starting over once again and in his early 30s trying to put himself back on the heavyweight map. Similarly, I don't see him looking to get into the mix, some of these up-and-coming heavyweights that are out there that would represent more risk than reward for AJ.
Every fighter has to face themselves at one point of their career, ask themselves, do they really want it? That's where Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte are in their career now.